The Constitution states that the government must protect the states from invasion. For about a year, I've been watching to see if any troops are guarding the border. Trump said that thousands of troops would be guarding the border. Obama and George W. Bush also led people to believe that thousands of troops would be guarding the border. But I had never seen evidence that armed troops were directly guarding the border anywhere. As far as I could tell, they had only been doing secondary jobs. Many people claim the Posse Comitatus Act prohibits the military from protecting our own border, which is absurd. That would mean American troops can protect the border of any country in the world except our own. Men in tactical gear were at the border in November 2018 when the first big caravan came. They helped turn back the border rush at that time in San Diego. They looked like troops, and many people thought they were troops, but they're actually federal police agents, not military. The Border Patrol has two tactical groups called BORTAC and BORSTAR. These men belong to these two groups. There aren't that many federal police agents which can be deployed indefinitely. To protect the border over large distances at any time, armed troops are necessary. When the Border Patrol is overwhelmed, as they have been recently, troops need to be called to help. Most of the time, you didn't see any troops at the border, even though thousands of troops were supposed to have been deployed. They were behind the lines somewhere. Last winter, though, groups belonging to the Army Corps of Engineers were putting up miles and miles of concertina wire as a stopgap measure. They were unarmed except for an MP who would be with them to protect them. These troops, however, were not directly guarding the border. They were not watching for illegal crossers and were not trying to stop them. In the last few months, though, during the summer of 2019, I've been seeing a few Marines, some of them in surveillance trucks with video cameras monitoring the border. When they see something they call the Border Patrol, they are wearing sidearms as well. I have seen them in San Diego, also at the Imperial Sand Dunes and at the Colorado River near Yuma. They monitor the camera video or use binoculars to watch for illegal crossers. The surveillance video is also sent back to a Border Patrol surveillance center. We can say these Marines are helping to directly guard the border, though they are not physically trying to detain illegal crossers. They are all along the border from California to Texas. There just aren't very many of them on the border. Extrapolating from what I've seen, maybe a couple hundred along the entire border. The Posse Comitatus Act forbids the use of troops to enforce federal law. This act was enacted in 1878 at the end of Reconstruction as part of a deal to resolve a crisis in the Electoral College. President Lincoln had imposed martial law on the southern states after the Civil War. Southerners wanted to make sure that it couldn't happen again. That was the purpose of this law, not to prevent the president from using the military to protect our border from mass foreign invasion. In fact, he has a constitutional duty to do that. We know that the Posse Comitatus Act was never intended to prohibit the military from defending our own borders because the Border Patrol did not exist until 1924. After the act was enacted in 1878, the Army guarded the border for 46 years until the Border Patrol took over. It has been Supreme Court case law which has created the nonsensical situation where we cannot defend our own border. Case law can be changed either by Congress or another Supreme Court decision. The military should not just be limited to surveillance, but they should be able to detain foreigners crossing the border illegally and hand them over to the Border Patrol. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to see more such videos.